Before we begin this video, I recommend that you visit google.com and search for dinardata.com. This website is a great resource for the latest updates on Dinar Guru news, all conveniently located on one page. For more information, I encourage you to visit the site.
The Iraqi Central Bank announces the results of his visit to New York. A high-ranking delegation negotiated with the U.S. Treasury there will be another big meeting by the end of this year. They're trying to find stability in the exchange rates. This is not really new. This is what Iraq has been doing recently, focusing on the banking sector because that's a big part of them getting out of the dark ages and start working internationally once again. Is this a step in the right direction? Of course it is. But does this mean they're going to change the exchange rate anytime soon? No. There's no indication either way. Road development project is going to be phenomenal. What we're going to see is the untied states is going to be sticking around in some shape or form to protect their assets. Things are going very well in Iraq. What does that mean timing-wise? A number of my contacts over there are convinced we will see something in the next 2 days. Don't ride the roller coaster, just wait and see. Economist talks about new measures after stopping transfers. Quote, the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Ali al-Alak, in New York over 3 days with U.S. Treasury officials gave a new boost and confidence to the Iraqi banking system. The Central Bank of Iraq will stop dealings with foreign correspondent banks in the future and reduce reliance on them, after developing the Iraqi Banking Relations Network, and gradually ending work on the electronic platform for transfers and replacing it with direct banking relations between Iraqi banks and the network of international correspondent banks. Iraq has attempted exactly such a demand of late. I'm sure these demands and threats were a topic of discussion at the recent meetings. In 2021, the American authorities assured the CBI the funds were secured and accounted for, but I should imagine the CBI wanted proof with the conclusion of the economic reform project drawing near. So you see, the recent meeting in New York has everything to do with the monetary reform, as the numbers must be crunched and amounts verified. I see this as a positive in the grand scheme of things. The recent visit of the CBI to New York was most assuredly to have a chat with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The FRNI is holding the DFI funds and has been since 2003. I should imagine that the CBI was discussing the release of the funds back to the CBI as part of the economic reform regimen. In the past, accounting of the funds has come under scrutiny. 1.7 billion was unaccounted for, so said the Pentagon. Distrust has been an issue. In 2020, the State Department threatened Iraq with denial of access to the funds if Iraq ever insisted the United States military withdraw. To strengthen economic relations. Reopening of the Swiss embassy in Baghdad. Quote, Switzerland reopened its embassy in Iraq after a 33-year hiatus. Article 2 Iraq renews partnership with Swiss global company Roche to enhance therapeutic capabilities. Swiss embassy in Baghdad reopens. Quote, Switzerland reopened its embassy in Iraq after a 33-year hiatus. Away from the grey list. Article quote, due to the spread of this phenomenon means the Iraqi business environment has become compliant with international standards. They're ready to be Article 8 compliant. To be in compliance, you're going to have an exchange rate. 1,310 isn't one of them. This reeks of Article 8 compliance with the IMF, knocking on the door. I think that is powerful. Report by the American website Eurasia News confirmed on Wednesday that while negotiations are taking place behind the scenes between the Iraqi government and the American side regarding withdrawal from Iraq, it is unlikely that an agreement will be reached regarding a complete withdrawal from the country as happened in Afghanistan. The report, translated by Al Maluma Agency, stated that so far, there is no timetable for the departure of U.S. forces, and the agreement between Washington and Baghdad is progressing slowly, because many factors must be considered before any final decision is made, and the United States may move away from combat operations, as the military presence evolves into a more traditional US-Iraqi security partnership. The report added that under the pretext of the ISIS threat, regional geopolitics must be taken into account, especially with regard to Iran, while the US military presence is primarily focused in Iraq. It is naive to believe that the US role is limited to ISIS only. Rather, the continued attacks by factions on it must be taken into account, and this will undoubtedly affect decision-makers in the United States. He added, the US military presence in Iraq cannot be viewed in isolation from others, and if the United States wants to continue its military presence in northern Syria, it must maintain a military presence in Iraq for logistical reasons.